The Federal Council is the 7-member executive council which constitutes the federal government of Switzerland, and serves as the collective head of government and state of Switzerland. While the entire council is responsible for leading the federal administration of Switzerland, each councillor heads one of the 7 federal executive departments. The position of federal president rotates among the 7 councillors on a yearly basis, with the year's vice president becoming next year's president. The Federal Council was instituted by the 1848 Federal Constitution as the supreme executive and directorial authority of the Confederation. When the Constitution was written, constitutional democracy was still in its infancy, and the founding fathers of Switzerland had little in the way of examples. While they drew heavily on the U.S. Constitution for the organization of the federal state as a whole, they opted for the collegial, rather than the presidential system for the executive branch of government. This accommodated the long tradition of the role of collective bodies in Switzerland. Under the Ancien Régime, the cantons of the Old Swiss Confederacy had been governed by councils of pre-eminent citizens since time immemorial, and the later Helvetic Republic as well as the cantons, that had given themselves liberal constitutions since the 1830s, had also had good experiences with that mode of governance. Today, only 3 other states, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Andorra and San Marino, have collective rather than unitary heads of state. However, the collegial system of government has found widespread adoption in modern democracies in the form of cabinet government with collective responsibility. The 1848 constitutional provision providing for the Federal Council a circumflex, and indeed the institution of the Council itself a circumflex, has remained unchanged to this day, even though Swiss society has changed profoundly since. Nonetheless, some significant developments deserve to be mentioned here. The 1848 Constitution was one of the few successes of the Europe-wide democratic revolutions of 1848. In Switzerland, the democratic movement was led a circumflex, and the new federal state decisively shaped a circumflex by the radicals. After winning the Sonderbund war against the Catholic cantons, the radicals at first used their majority in the Federal Assembly to fill all the seats on the Federal Council. This made their former war opponents, the Catholic Conservatives, the opposition party. Only after Emil Welty's resignation in 1891 after a failed referendum on railway nationalization did the radicals decide to co-opt the Conservatives by supporting the election of Joseph Zemp. The process of involving all major political movements of Switzerland into the responsibility of government continued during the first half of the 20th century. It was hastened by the FDP's and CVP's gradually diminishing voter shares, complemented by the rise of new parties of lesser power at the ends of the political spectrum. These were the Social Democratic Party on the left and the Party of Farmers, Traders, and Independents on the right. In due course, the CVP received its second seat in 1919 with Jean-Marie Musi, while the BGB joined the council in 1929 with Rudolf Menger. In 1943, during World War II, the Social Democrats were also temporarily included with Ernst Nobs. During that time, the FDP and CVP very slowly but steadily kept losing voter share to the SVP and SPS, respectively, which overtook the older parties in popularity during the 1990s. The governmental balance was changed after the 2003 elections, when the SVP was granted a council seat for their leader Christoph Blocher, that had formerly belonged to the CVP's Ruth Metzler. Due to controversies surrounding his conduct in office, a narrow assembly majority did not re-elect Blocher in 2007, and chose instead Evelyn Widmer-Schlumpf, a more moderate SVP politician, against party policy. This led to a split of the SVP in 2008. After liberal regional SVP groups including federal councillors Widmer-Schlumpf and Samuel Schmid founded a new Conservative Democratic Party, the SVP was left in opposition for the first time since 1929, but returned into the council with the election of Ueli Morant in December 2008, who regained the seat previously held by Schmid, who had resigned. The SVP regained its second seat on the council in 2015, when Widmer Schlumpf decided to resign after the SVP's large election gains in the 2015 election, being replaced by Guy Parmelin.